Now to discuss more, we are joined by the former head of the Financial Transaction Reports and Analysis Center, or PPATK, Pak Yunus Husein. Hi, Pak Yunus. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello. Good evening. Yeah.
So as you heard just now, Mahfud MD says from 2009 to 2023, there were 197 reports of suspicious transactions, potentially 300 trillion rupiah of money laundered in the Ministry of Finance. But since 2009, no action was taken. What do you think went wrong here?
Thank you for the question. First of all, I'd like to clarify what Pak Mahfud mean by money laundering in amount of 500 trillion rupiah. If we consider the time range from 2009 and 2023 is more than 10 years. Report covered more than 10-year period, and then involving more than I think almost hundreds employees, and then many transactions happen at that time. In my opinion, the total amount of the money is not exactly 500 trillion, because if the transaction is counted many times, because it happen frequently, maybe can be happen what I call double counting or triple maybe, and maybe more. This report not mention the actual balance, the outstanding balance of the money of the officer. Report only mention the how many SDR, how many transaction, and totally in the amount 500 trillion. But exactly the outstanding balance not that much. It's too much, 500 trillion laundering in one minister. Since it's covered more than 10 years in 2009 and 2023, I think it can be raised that such big amount of money, because the range is very wide, and many transactions happen at that time by many officers of the Minister of Finance. That is my opinion on the amount of laundering in Indonesia. The Minister of Finance should make what I call by clarification or verify this report. If there is indication there's a corruption committed by this officer, Minister of Finance can submit this report, forward this report to the law enforcement agency, and Minister of Finance also should give feedback to the FIU, Financial Intelligence Unit, PPATK. So investigation will be conducted by the investigator, and then the feedback also should be given to the FIU that give initial report to the ministry.
So, Pak Yunus,
yeah,
what, in your opinion, what kind of potential criminal offenses do you think were in these transactions in the Ministry of Finance?
Since this transaction involving the officer, the employee of the government of Republic Indonesia, the mostly the violation will be related to what we call corruption. Corruption, for example, what we call gratifikasi or like bribery. If the officer receive some money or kickback from the taxpayer, for example, I think this mostly happen because this fiscus, if they make interaction with the taxpayer, it can make what I call by mutual symbiosis interaction. For example, the fiscus make a tax planning for the taxpayer, for the company, or when the fiscus make examination to the taxpayer, or when they make objection the taxpayer to the tax officer. There is so many possibility they can abuse their power when they interact between fiscus and the taxpayer themselves.
So, Pa Yunus, you were the head of the Financial Transaction Reports and Analysis Center until 2011. So some of these reports were filed during your time as chief. Can you take us back to what were the biggest issues in getting these reports of suspicious transactions being resolved or taken to the level of legal enforcement?
The big issues is after we receive reports from reporting parties. There are about 6 reports. The Species Transaction Report, Cash Transaction Report, International Fund Transfer Instruction, Cross-Border Cash Carrying Report, report from car dealer, real estate agent. There are totally 6 reports. After being analyzed, we make dissemination to law enforcement agencies. The problem is sometimes law enforcement agency consider our dissemination laporan hasil analisis only as initial information. Initial information. Actually, this dissemination already made by our analysts in very long time, and they're using a lot of data, and this analysis indicates not only the case, the profile of the officer, the outcome of the analysis, and the conclusion, also make indication related to criminal possibly being committed by the officer. And we hope, especially from FIU, Financial Intelligence Unit, PPATK, after receiving our dissemination, they open preliminary investigation, penyelidikan, not make only clarification. It is not enough because we have provide good outcome. If we compare to the football game, PPATK function as a midfielder that as a playmaker to initiate the games and give the ball to the striker, to the investigator like KPK, anti-corruption agency, police investigator, or attorney general investigator. After receiving our dissemination, as a striker, those investigators should open preliminary investigation. That's our hope. Sometimes they take too late preliminary investigation after receiving our dissemination. In addition to this, sometimes there is a problem in their own agency. For example, in KPK, they have 3 commissioners. Sometimes very late in make a decision on this case.